You lie down in bed every night, but you have no idea about the miracle that is happening inside your body while you sleep. Buddhist teachings reveal something that modern medicine is only beginning to understand. Your body possesses a natural healing intelligence that activates completely during the night, but only when your mind allows it. Most people wake up more tired than when they went to sleep, and this is not normal. When you carry tension, worry, and restless thoughts to bed, you block the natural regeneration process that should be healing every cell in your body. Tonight, you are going to learn exactly how ancient Buddhist teachings about the mind-body connection can transform your nights into profound periods of healing. You will discover simple techniques that monks have been using for centuries to prepare the mind before sleep, allowing the body to do what it was born to do: heal itself completely while you rest. Subscribe to the channel, leave your like, and comment from which part of the world you are watching. Get comfortable and relax. Let us begin. Tonight, you are being invited into an ancient secret, a wisdom that has been whispered through Buddhist monasteries for thousands of years. This secret is so simple, so natural, and yet so profound that it has the power to transform not just your sleep, but your entire relationship with your body and your health. The secret is this: your body knows exactly how to heal itself, and every single night, while you rest, the most miraculous healing takes place. Tonight, you will learn how to consciously support this natural process, how to align yourself with the profound wisdom that your body already possesses, and how to awaken each morning feeling more restored, more renewed, more whole than you ever thought possible. As you settle into this moment, wherever you are, whatever position feels most comfortable to your body right now, take a gentle breath and allow yourself to arrive fully in this present moment. The ancient Buddhist masters understood something that modern science is only now beginning to confirm. They knew that healing is not something we do to the body, but something we allow the body to do naturally when we create the right conditions. They knew that the mind and body are not separate entities, but expressions of the same unified consciousness. They knew that every night, as we surrender into sleep, we surrender into the greatest healing power available to us. In a monastery high in the mountains of Tibet, there once lived a monk who was known throughout the region as the healer who never healed. People would come to him with all manner of ailments, expecting him to prescribe herbs or perform rituals or offer prayers. Instead, he would simply smile and say, "I cannot heal you, only your body can heal itself. But I can teach you how to listen to your body's wisdom and how to stop interfering with its natural intelligence." At first, many people left disappointed, convinced that this monk had no real power. But those who stayed and learned his teachings experienced transformations that seemed miraculous. Chronic pain would vanish, long-standing illnesses would resolve, bodies that had been weak became strong again. What was this monk's teaching? It was deceptively simple. He taught that healing happens naturally when three conditions are met. First, when the mind stops its constant interference and learns to be still. Second, when the breath returns to its natural rhythm. Third, when we trust the body's innate wisdom completely. These three conditions, he explained, are most easily achieved during the night, during sleep, when the conscious mind releases its grip and the deeper intelligence of the body can finally do its work unobstructed. But most people, he observed, even in sleep maintain subtle patterns of tension, resistance and control that prevent complete healing from occurring. As you rest here now, feeling the support beneath your body, notice how even in this moment your body is already beginning its healing work. Your breath is naturally slowing, deepening, finding its own perfect rhythm without any effort from you. Your muscles are beginning to soften, to release the tensions they've been holding, perhaps without you even realizing it. Your heart is beating steadily, reliably, pumping healing blood to every cell of your body. Your lymphatic system is clearing away toxins and waste. Your nervous system is beginning to shift from the activation of day into the restoration of night. All of this is happening right now, automatically, guided by an intelligence far greater than your conscious mind could ever comprehend. The Buddhist tradition teaches that the body is not merely a physical machine, but a temple of consciousness, a sacred vessel through which life force flows. This life force, sometimes called chi or prana, is the healing energy that animates every cell, every organ, every system of your body. During the day, when you're active and engaged with the world, this life force is directed outward toward activity, thought, emotion, and action. But during the night, when you rest deeply, this same life force turns inward and becomes a healing force of extraordinary power. It travels to wherever healing is needed most, repairing damage, restoring balance, renewing vitality. There's a beautiful teaching story about this from ancient China. A young student approached his Zen master complaining of constant fatigue and frequent illness. "Master," he said, "I meditate every day. I follow all the precepts. I practice mindfulness in all my activities. Why does my body remain weak?" The master looked at him with compassionate eyes and asked, "Tell me, when you sleep, do you truly sleep? Or does your mind continue working through the night, planning and worrying and reviewing?" The student paused and realized that even in sleep, he was never fully at rest. His mind continued to churn with thoughts about the next day, replaying conversations, anticipating problems. The master nodded knowingly and said, "A field that is never left fallow will eventually become exhausted and barren. Your body is like this field. It needs periods of complete rest, true rest, where even the mind stops its endless cultivation. Only then can the soil of your being regenerate its fertility." This story illuminates something crucial about healing. It's not enough to simply lie down and close your eyes. True healing requires a quality of rest that goes deeper than physical stillness. It requires a mental and emotional letting go, a surrender so complete that the body's natural healing intelligence can operate without interference. This is what tonight's practice is designed to cultivate. Through ancient Buddhist principles adapted for our modern lives, you'll learn how to create the conditions for the deepest possible healing to occur throughout the night. The first thing to understand is that your body is not your enemy. This may seem obvious, but pay attention to how you actually relate to your body throughout the day. Notice how often you fight against it, ignore its signals, push through its natural limits, or judge it for not performing exactly as you wish. These patterns of resistance create tension that persists even into sleep, subtly blocking the healing process. The Buddhist approach begins with a radical shift in perspective, seeing the body not as something to be controlled or overcome, but as a wise teacher and faithful companion on the journey of life. In Buddhist philosophy, there's a concept called the middle way, the path between extremes. This applies beautifully to how we relate to the body. On one extreme is asceticism, the denial and punishment of the body as if it were an obstacle to spiritual growth. On the other extreme is hedonism, the indulgence of every bodily desire without wisdom or restraint. The middle way honors the body as sacred while also recognizing that true well-being comes from balance, from listening deeply to what the body actually needs rather than imposing what the mind thinks it should need. As you continue to rest here, breathing naturally, feeling your body settling deeper into comfort, consider this question. What if your body has been trying to communicate with you all day, every day, but you've been too busy, too distracted, too caught up in mental activity to truly listen? What if the aches and pains, the fatigue and discomfort, the restlessness and tension are not problems to be fixed, but messages to be understood? The Buddhist masters taught that the body speaks in the language of sensation, and learning to listen to this language is one of the most important skills we can develop. Tonight, you're going to practice a different way of being with your body, a way that honors its wisdom and supports its natural healing processes. This isn't about doing anything complicated or learning difficult techniques. It's actually about undoing, about releasing the layers of tension, control, and interference that prevent healing from happening naturally. It's about remembering what your body already knows, what it has known since the moment you were born, how to heal itself when given the right conditions. The ancient texts speak of the body as having its own intelligence, distinct from but complementary to the intelligence of the conscious mind. This bodily intelligence governs all the automatic processes that keep you alive: the beating of your heart, the rhythm of your breath, the digestion of food, the healing of wounds, the fighting of infections, the balancing of hormones, the renewal of cells. You don't have to think about any of this. You don't have to consciously direct these processes. They happen spontaneously, guided by a wisdom that has been refined over millions of years of evolution. But here's what the Buddhist masters discovered. While we can't and shouldn't try to consciously control these automatic processes, we can create conditions that either support or hinder them. When we're stressed, the body's healing processes slow down or shut down entirely because the nervous system interprets stress as danger, and in danger, survival takes priority over healing. When we're relaxed, trusting, and at peace, the body's healing processes operate at their optimal level because the nervous system receives the message that it's safe to direct energy toward restoration and renewal. This is why the quality of your rest at night has such a profound impact on your overall health and well-being. It's not just about the number of hours you sleep, though that certainly matters. It's about the depth of rest you achieve, the degree to which you're able to surrender completely and allow the body's healing intelligence to do its work unimpeded. Most people sleep in a state of partial tension, their mind still subtly active, their bodies still holding patterns of stress, their nervous systems never fully shifting into the deep restoration mode that's necessary for profound healing. Tonight will be different. Through the principles you're about to learn, principles drawn from Buddhist wisdom and refined over centuries of practice, you'll discover how to enter a state of rest so deep, so complete, that healing happens at levels you may not have experienced in years. Perhaps even since childhood. You'll learn how to work with your mind so that instead of interfering with healing, it becomes an ally in the process. You'll learn how to work with your breath so that it becomes a bridge between conscious intention and unconscious healing. You'll learn how to work with awareness itself so that you can remain conscious enough to support the healing process while still surrendering deeply enough for it to unfold naturally. The teaching you're receiving tonight is not theoretical. It's not meant to be merely understood intellectually. It's meant to be experienced directly in your body, in your being, in this very moment. As we move through each principle, you'll be invited to practice it immediately, to feel how it works, to notice the subtle shifts it creates in your body and mind. By the end of tonight's journey, these principles won't be something you know about. They'll be something you know through direct experience, something that becomes part of how you naturally prepare for sleep every night. In the Buddhist tradition, there's a deep respect for the natural rhythms and cycles that govern all life. Day follows night, seasons follow one another, the tide flows in and out, your body breathes in and breathes out, your heart beats in a rhythm of contraction and expansion. All of life pulses with this fundamental rhythm of activity and rest, yang and yin, doing and being. When we align ourselves with these natural rhythms, we experience ease, flow, and vitality. When we fight against them, pushing ourselves to be constantly active, constantly productive, constantly in yang mode, we create exhaustion, depletion, and illness. The night is nature's gift of rest to every living being. Watch any animal in the wild and you'll see how completely they surrender into sleep, how totally they trust the darkness, how deeply they rest without resistance or worry about what tomorrow will bring. Humans have largely lost this natural capacity, not because we've evolved beyond it, but because we've been conditioned out of it by a culture that values constant activity and productivity over the equally important cycle of rest and restoration. Tonight, you're reclaiming your birthright, the ability to rest as deeply and completely as any creature in nature, to surrender into sleep with total trust, and to allow your body to heal itself as it was designed to do. Feel yourself settling even deeper now into this moment. Notice how your body already knows what to do. You don't have to force relaxation. You simply have to stop preventing it. You don't have to make healing happen. You simply have to stop interfering with it. This is the essence of the Buddhist approach, not adding more effort, more control, more doing, but rather releasing effort, releasing control, releasing the doing, and discovering what naturally emerges when we stop trying so hard. The body you inhabit is the result of billions of years of evolutionary wisdom. Every cell contains intelligence beyond anything human consciousness could design. Your immune system can distinguish between millions of different pathogens and create specific responses to each one. Your endocrine system maintains balance among dozens of hormones with precision that would make any laboratory envious. Your nervous system processes vast amounts of information every second without you having to think about it at all. This is the intelligence you'll be learning to trust tonight, not as an abstract concept, but as a living reality that you can feel and experience directly. As we prepare to explore the specific principles of healing sleep, take a moment to set an intention, not a goal or expectation, but a gentle intention, a direction for your consciousness. Perhaps your intention is simply to be open to whatever healing your body needs most tonight. Perhaps it's to release control and trust more deeply. Perhaps it's to honor your body as sacred. Whatever intention arises naturally from your heart, allow it to be present without forcing or shaping it. The Buddhist masters teach that healing begins not with fixing what's broken, but with accepting what is. This doesn't mean resignation or giving up. It means starting from a place of compassion and acceptance rather than judgment and resistance. Your body, exactly as it is right now, with whatever aches or pains or limitations it may have, is doing its absolute best to serve you, to keep you alive, to carry your consciousness through this world. It deserves not criticism but gratitude, not punishment but kindness, not control but trust. Tonight, as you journey through these ancient teachings on healing, you'll be guided to see your body with new eyes, to feel it with new sensitivity, to listen to it with new attention. You'll discover that the healing you seek is not something far away that you have to achieve through effort. It's something that's already happening right now, in this moment, and all you need to do is create the conditions for it to deepen and amplify. This is the great secret that the Buddhist healers understood. Healing is the natural state. Illness and pain are what happen when we interfere with the body's natural healing processes. The path to health is not adding more intervention, but removing the obstacles to natural healing. As we transition now into the specific principles, carry with you this foundational understanding. Your body is wise. Your body is sacred. Your body knows how to heal itself. Your job tonight is not to direct this healing, but to support it. Not to control it, but to allow it. Not to make it happen, but to let it happen. This is the art you're about to learn, the art of conscious allowing, the art of healing through surrender, the art of trusting the deepest wisdom of your being. The first principle of healing sleep is one that sounds simple but requires practice to truly embody. It is the principle of complete release, the art of letting go of everything the day has brought and everything tomorrow might hold. In this present moment, in this sacred space of nighttime rest, there is nothing you need to do, nothing you need to fix, nothing you need to figure out. The day is complete. Your work is done. Now begins the body's work, the work of healing that can only happen when you step aside and allow it. In a temple in ancient Japan, there was a monk who served as the evening bell ringer. Every night at sunset, he would ring the great bronze bell that signaled the end of the day's activities and the beginning of the night's rest. But before he rang the bell, he had a ritual that puzzled the younger monks. He would stand before the bell in silence for several minutes, and if you watched closely, you could see him making small gestures as if he were setting down invisible objects. One day, a curious young monk asked him what he was doing. The old bell ringer smiled and explained, "Before I can ring the bell that releases others into rest, I must first release my own burdens. Each gesture represents something I carried during the day that I now set down, a worry about a task left incomplete, a difficult conversation that troubled my heart, a judgment I made about another, a disappointment in myself. I set each one down, releasing my grip on it, so that I can ring the bell from a place of complete freedom. Only then does the sound carry the true vibration of release." This story carries profound wisdom for your healing tonight. To allow your body to heal completely, you must first release what you've been carrying. Not just the physical tensions, though those are important, but the mental and emotional burdens that create subtle stress in your system even as you sleep. These burdens are like heavy stones in a backpack. You may have grown so accustomed to their weight that you no longer consciously notice them, but they're still there, still creating strain, still demanding energy that could otherwise be devoted to healing. Let's practice this together now. As you rest here, breathing naturally, bring your attention to what you might be carrying from today. You don't need to analyze or process or solve anything. Simply notice. Perhaps there was a moment of conflict or tension with someone. Maybe there's a project or responsibility that feels heavy on your mind. It could be a worry about someone you love. Or perhaps it's something about yourself, a judgment, a criticism, a feeling that you should have done something differently. Just notice what arises when you ask yourself this question. What am I still carrying from today that's ready to be set down? Now, with your next exhale, imagine that you can release this burden completely. You're not denying that the situation exists. You're not pretending it doesn't matter. You're simply recognizing that holding onto it through the night serves no useful purpose. Carrying it into sleep doesn't solve it. It only prevents the rest and healing that would actually give you the clarity and energy to address it tomorrow. So with compassion for yourself, with tenderness for your own humanity, you set it down. Feel the slight shift in your body as you do this. Notice how your shoulders might drop just a little, how your jaw might soften, how your breath might deepen. The Buddhist understanding of letting go is different from what we often think it means. It's not about pushing away or suppressing or pretending something doesn't exist. It's about changing your relationship with it, holding it lightly instead of gripping it tightly, acknowledging it without being consumed by it. Imagine holding something precious in your hands. You can hold it with a clenched fist, gripping it so tightly that your hand aches and your arm trembles. Or you can hold it with an open palm, allowing it to rest there without strain. Both ways, you're still connected to it, but one way creates suffering and the other creates ease. This is how we practice release for healing. We open the clenched fist of the mind. We allow what is to simply be without gripping it so tightly. When you do this, something remarkable happens in your nervous system. The body receives the signal that it's safe to fully relax, that there's no emergency requiring vigilance, that it's permitted to shift all its resources toward healing and restoration. This is not a small thing. This is the fundamental shift that makes deep healing possible. In Buddhist psychology, there's a teaching about the 5 hindrances, the mental states that prevent peace and clarity. One of these hindrances is called restlessness and worry, the constant churning of the mind that keeps us perpetually activated. This hindrance is particularly active for most people as they try to sleep. The mind continues its endless loop of planning, reviewing, anticipating, regretting. Even when the body is still, the mind races on, and this mental activity creates measurable stress in the body that interferes with healing. The antidote to this hindrance is not forcing the mind to be quiet, which usually just creates more tension. The antidote is redirecting attention away from the content of thoughts and toward the direct experience of the present moment. This is where the practice of body awareness becomes so powerful. When you bring your attention to the actual felt sensations in your body right now, the thinking mind naturally begins to quiet because you're no longer feeding it attention. Let's practice this now. Bring your attention to your feet. Don't think about your feet, actually feel them. Notice the temperature. Notice any sensations of contact with whatever they're resting on. Notice any tingling or pulsing or heaviness or lightness. Just feel your feet with simple, direct awareness. Stay with this for a few breaths, allowing your attention to be fully absorbed in the sensation of your feet. Notice what happens when you do this. The mental chatter diminishes or even stops completely. You can't simultaneously think about tomorrow's meeting and feel your feet with full attention. This is why body awareness is such a powerful tool for releasing mental burdens. It's not that you're suppressing thoughts, you're simply choosing to place your attention elsewhere, on something that's actually happening now rather than on imagined futures or remembered pasts. Now expand your awareness to include your legs. Feel the weight of them. Feel them making contact with whatever surface is supporting them. Notice any sensations, pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral. You're not trying to change anything or fix anything. You're simply feeling what's actually present. This simple practice of feeling your body is already creating the conditions for healing. You're sending the message to your nervous system that it's safe to be present, safe to be embodied, safe to let down the constant vigilance that stress creates. Continue this scan of awareness through your whole body. Feel your pelvis and lower back. Notice how your spine is supported. Feel your belly rising and falling with breath. Feel your chest expanding and releasing. Feel your shoulders, your arms, your hands. Feel your neck and throat. Feel your face, your jaw, your eyes, your forehead. Take your time with this. There's nowhere to rush to. Nothing more important to do than this simple practice of being present to your own body. As you scan through your body with awareness, you may notice places of tension or discomfort. This is not a problem. This is actually valuable information. Your body is showing you where it's been holding stress, where it needs your attention and care. When you notice an area of tension, rather than trying to force it to relax, simply breathe into it. Imagine your breath flowing directly to that place, bringing oxygen, bringing warmth, bringing a message of safety and permission to release. There's a beautiful story from the Buddhist tradition about a musician who approached the Buddha asking about spiritual practice. The musician said, "Buddha, I've been trying to practice meditation, but I can't seem to find the right balance. Sometimes I try so hard that I become tense and exhausted. Other times I relax so much that I become drowsy and unfocused. What should I do?" The Buddha, knowing this man was a musician, asked him about his instrument. "When you tune the strings of your instrument, what happens if they're too tight?" The musician replied, "They'll break or produce a harsh sound." "And if they're too loose?" asked the Buddha. "They won't produce any sound at all," the musician answered. "Exactly," said the Buddha. "The practice is like tuning an instrument. Not too tight, not too loose, but just right. This middle way is where healing happens, where true practice unfolds. This teaching applies perfectly to the practice of release for healing sleep. You're not trying to force your body into some rigid state of perfect relaxation. You're also not collapsing into unconsciousness without any awareness. You're finding that middle way, that perfect tuning where you're relaxed enough for healing to occur, but conscious enough to support the process with your intention and awareness. As you continue to rest here, breathing naturally, feeling your body, releasing what you've been carrying, notice the quality of ease that begins to emerge. This ease is not something you create through effort. It's what naturally arises when you stop creating tension. It's like muddy water that becomes clear when you stop stirring it. Your body and mind have this same quality. When you stop the constant stirring of mental activity and physical tension, clarity and peace naturally emerge. The practice of complete release also extends to your relationship with sleep itself. Many people carry anxiety about sleep, worrying about whether they'll sleep well, whether they'll get enough rest, whether they'll be able to fall asleep quickly. This anxiety about sleep is itself one of the main obstacles to sleeping well. It creates a vicious cycle where worry about not sleeping keeps you awake, which creates more worry, which keeps you awake more. The Buddhist approach breaks this cycle by releasing attachment to any particular outcome. Here's a radical suggestion. What if tonight you didn't need to fall asleep? What if the only goal was to rest deeply, to be present to your body, to create the conditions for healing, and whether sleep comes quickly or slowly or even at all, that's perfectly fine. This might sound counterintuitive, but it's actually one of the most powerful practices for overcoming sleep difficulties. When you release the desperate grasping for sleep, the anxiety dissolves, and ironically, sleep usually comes much more easily. The Buddha taught that attachment is the root of suffering. This includes attachment to outcomes, even good outcomes like sleeping well. When we can hold our intentions lightly, caring about our well-being, but not clinging desperately to specific results, we create space for natural processes to unfold in their own timing. Your body knows when it needs sleep. When you create the right conditions and then let go of attachment to what happens next, you allow your body's natural wisdom to guide the process. Feel how this perspective shift affects your experience right now. If there's no pressure to fall asleep, no requirement to achieve any particular state, if you're simply resting here with awareness and kindness toward yourself, doesn't that feel easier? Doesn't that feel more spacious? This spaciousness itself is healing. This ease itself is medicine. In Zen practice, there's a teaching about effortless effort, doing without doing. This paradoxical phrase points to a quality of action that's fully engaged but not strained, completely present but not forced. This is the quality we're cultivating tonight. You're engaged in the practice of supporting your body's healing, but you're not forcing or straining. You're present to what's happening, but you're not controlling or manipulating. This effortless effort is the perfect condition for healing to unfold naturally. As we complete this exploration of the first principle, take a moment to acknowledge what you've already released. Even if it's subtle, even if you're not sure anything has changed, trust that the intention to let go has already begun its work. The body responds not just to what we consciously notice, but to the deeper intentions we hold. By choosing to practice release, by directing your attention to your body, by letting go of mental burdens, you've already initiated the healing process. This is not something that will happen later. It's happening right now, in this very moment. The Buddha taught that this present moment is the only moment we ever truly have. The past is gone, existing only as memory. The future hasn't arrived, existing only as imagination. But this moment, this breath, this sensation in your body right now, this is real. This is where life actually happens. This is where healing actually occurs. When you release the past and future and come fully into the present, you align yourself with the natural healing power that exists only now, only here, only in this eternal present moment. Feel the power of being completely here, completely now. Your body, receiving your full attention, begins to soften even more. Your mind, no longer scattered across time and space, begins to settle into quiet. Your heart, no longer burdened by what was or what might be, opens to the peace that's available in this moment. This is the foundation of healing sleep. This is the ground from which all the other principles grow. This is where your journey into the deepest healing begins. The second principle of healing sleep emerges naturally from the first, and it is this: trusting the body's innate wisdom to heal itself without interference from the controlling mind. This trust is not naive or passive. It's based on a profound understanding that your body possesses intelligence beyond anything your conscious mind could ever direct. Every moment, your body is performing miracles of complexity and coordination that would be impossible to consciously manage. The very fact that you're alive right now is proof of your body's extraordinary wisdom. In ancient Buddhist teachings, the body is sometimes referred to as the earthly teacher, the one who shows us directly, through sensation and experience, the truths that words can only point toward. There's a story about this from the life of the Buddha himself. After years of extreme ascetic practices, pushing his body to the very edge of survival through fasting and harsh disciplines, the Buddha finally recognized that this path was not leading to awakening. He remembered a moment from his childhood when he had sat under a tree and spontaneously entered a state of meditative absorption. His body, when allowed to be comfortable and at ease, had naturally opened into profound peace. This memory led to his realization of the middle way, the understanding that the body, when treated with respect and care rather than denial or indulgence, becomes a gateway to wisdom. As you rest here now, consider your own relationship with your body. For many of us, this relationship has been marked by a kind of benign dictatorship. The mind makes demands, and the body is expected to comply. Wake up at this time, work for this many hours, eat this food even if you're not hungry, or don't eat even if you are. Keep going even when you're tired. Ignore pain, push through limits. This way of relating to the body might work in the short term, but over time it creates disconnection and eventually breakdown. The body's signals get ignored so consistently that we stop hearing them altogether. We lose touch with the very wisdom that could guide us toward health. The Buddhist approach invites a radical shift in this relationship. Instead of the mind being the master and the body being the servant, imagine a partnership of equals. The body has its own intelligence and speaks through sensation. The mind has its own intelligence and speaks through thought. Both are valuable. Both are necessary. But for healing to occur, especially the deep healing that happens during sleep, the mind must learn to step back and allow the body's intelligence to take the lead. This doesn't mean the mind becomes irrelevant. The mind has an important role to play, but it's a different role than the one it usually tries to play. Instead of directing and controlling, the mind becomes a supportive witness, offering conscious attention and intention while trusting the body's natural processes. Think of it like this: the body is like a master gardener who knows exactly how to tend the garden of your health. The mind is like the garden's owner. The owner doesn't need to tell the gardener how to plant seeds or when to water or which weeds to pull. The owner's job is to trust the gardener's expertise, provide resources and support, and appreciate the beauty that emerges. Let's practice this trust together now. Bring your attention to your breath, but don't try to control it in any way. Simply observe how your body is breathing itself. Notice the natural rhythm, the natural depth, the natural pause between breaths. Your body knows exactly how to breathe. It's been breathing you since the moment you were born without any conscious direction. This is a perfect example of your body's wisdom in action. As you watch your breath, notice the miracle of it. The air flows in, finding its way to the deepest parts of your lungs. Oxygen crosses through delicate membranes into your bloodstream. Your heart pumps this oxygenated blood to every single cell of your body. Carbon dioxide is collected and transported back to your lungs. The air flows out, carrying away what your body no longer needs. All of this happens automatically, coordinated by intelligence so profound that no computer could replicate it, and you don't have to think about any of it. Your body just knows. This same intelligence that breathes you is also healing you right now. At this very moment, cells that were damaged during the day are being repaired. Toxins are being filtered and eliminated. Tissues are being renewed. Neural pathways are being optimized. Hormones are being balanced. Immune responses are being coordinated. None of this requires your conscious direction. In fact, conscious interference usually just gets in the way. There's a teaching from Zen Buddhism about trying too hard. A student was practicing meditation with intense effort, scrunching up his face in concentration, holding his body rigid, forcing his mind to be empty. His teacher watched for a while and then asked him, "Are you trying to polish a tile to make a mirror?" The student looked confused. "That's impossible," he said. "A tile can never become a mirror no matter how much you polish it." The teacher nodded. In the same way, you cannot force enlightenment through sheer effort. You can only create the conditions and then allow what's natural to unfold. The same is true for healing. You cannot force your body to heal through sheer willpower, but you can create the conditions that allow natural healing to unfold. What are these conditions? First, safety. The body will not devote energy to healing if it perceives threat or danger. This is why releasing stress and tension is so important. When your nervous system is in fight or flight mode, healing processes are put on hold. But when your nervous system receives the signal that it's safe, that you're supported, that there's no immediate danger, healing becomes the priority. Second, resources. The body needs adequate resources to heal: oxygen, nutrients, water, and perhaps most importantly, energy. Sleep is when your body can devote maximum energy to healing because it's not also having to manage waking consciousness and physical activity. This is why deep rest is so profoundly restorative. It's not that sleep is passive, it's that sleep allows the body to be active in a different way, directing all its considerable resources toward the work of repair and renewal. Third, permission. This might sound strange, but the body needs permission from the conscious mind to fully relax and heal. When the mind is constantly vigilant, constantly controlling, constantly second-guessing, the body remains in a state of partial activation that prevents deep healing. But when the mind consciously gives permission, when it says through intention and attention, "I trust you to know what you need, I'm letting go of control," the body can finally fully surrender into its healing work. Let's practice giving this permission now. Silently or aloud, speak to your body with kindness and respect. You might say something like, "Dear body, I acknowledge that you've been carrying me through this day and every day of my life. I honor your wisdom and your tireless work on my behalf. Tonight, I give you complete permission to heal in whatever way is best. I release my need to control or direct this process. I trust your intelligence completely. Use this time of rest to do whatever healing is needed. I am listening. I am grateful. I am here with you." Notice how speaking to your body in this way feels different from your usual internal dialogue. There's a quality of respect and partnership rather than command and control. This simple shift in how you relate to your body can have profound effects. The body responds to kindness and trust by relaxing more deeply, by opening more fully, by revealing what it needs through sensations and intuitions. In traditional Buddhist practice, there's a meditation called body sweeping or body scanning, where attention is moved slowly and systematically through the entire body. This practice has been shown through modern research to have significant healing benefits, reducing chronic pain, lowering blood pressure, improving immune function, and promoting faster recovery from illness. But the mechanism isn't mysterious. When you bring kind, non-judgmental attention to your body, several things happen. First, you become aware of tensions and holdings that you can then consciously release. Second, blood flow increases to areas that receive attention. Third, the nervous system interprets this attention as care and safety, allowing deeper relaxation. We're going to practice a healing version of this body sweep now, but with a specific focus on trusting and supporting your body's natural intelligence. Bring your attention to the top of your head. Feel whatever sensations are present there. You're not trying to change anything or fix anything. You're simply meeting your body with awareness and trust. Silently acknowledge this part of your body. Thank it for all it does. Your brain, though you can't feel it directly, is orchestrating everything, processing, coordinating, learning, dreaming. Trust that it knows how to heal and balance itself. Slowly move your attention down to your face. Feel your forehead, your eyes, your cheeks, your jaw. So often we hold tension in the face without realizing it. Simply bringing awareness here allows natural release. Thank your eyes for the gift of sight. Thank your ears for the gift of hearing. Trust that your facial muscles and nerves know how to release tension and restore balance throughout the night. Move to your neck and throat. This is where many people hold tremendous tension, especially from stress and communication difficulties. Breathe gently into this area. Thank your throat for allowing you to speak and express yourself. Thank your neck for supporting your head and protecting your spinal cord. Trust that this area knows how to soften and heal. Continue down to your shoulders and upper back. This is another common place for tension to accumulate. Rather than trying to force your shoulders to relax, simply bring them gentle attention and gratitude. Your shoulders carry so much, literally and figuratively. Acknowledge their work. Give them permission to release their burden during this night of rest. Move your attention to your chest and heart. Feel your heart beating steadily, faithfully, every moment of every day of your entire life without you ever having to think about it. This is perhaps the most powerful example of your body's wisdom. Your heart knows exactly what rate to beat, how much blood to pump, how to adjust to changing demands. Place your hand on your heart if that feels comfortable, and offer it deep gratitude and trust. Thank your heart for never giving up on you. Trust that it knows how to heal and strengthen itself. Bring attention to your lungs and breath. Your respiratory system is performing the miracle of gas exchange, bringing in life-giving oxygen and releasing waste carbon dioxide. Thank your lungs for this constant work. Trust their natural rhythm and intelligence. Move to your abdomen and digestive system. Here is where so much of your immune system resides, where nutrition is extracted from food, where toxins are processed. This area often holds emotional tension as well. Breathe warmth and kindness into your belly. Thank your digestive system for the complex work it does to nourish you. Trust its intelligence to process, assimilate, and eliminate exactly as needed. Continue down to your lower back and pelvis. Thank your spine for giving structure to your body, for protecting your precious spinal cord. Thank your bones for their strength, your joints for their flexibility. Trust that they know how to maintain and repair themselves. Move attention to your hips and legs. These powerful limbs carry you through the world. Thank them for their service. Your legs and feet might be tired from the day's activities. Acknowledge this fatigue without judgment. Give them permission to fully rest and restore. Finally, bring attention to your feet, these remarkable structures that balance and support your entire body. Thank your feet for literally carrying you through life. Trust that they know how to heal any soreness or strain. Now expand your awareness to include your entire body as one unified field of sensation and consciousness. Feel yourself breathing as a whole. Feel the subtle energy flowing through you. Feel the innate intelligence that coordinates all these individual parts into one functioning whole. This intelligence is extraordinary. This intelligence is trustworthy. This intelligence is what will heal you throughout the night. The Buddha taught that everything is interconnected, that there are no truly separate parts, but only the appearance of separation. Your body demonstrates this truth beautifully. Every organ affects every other organ. Every system depends on every other system. When healing happens anywhere, it affects everywhere. By trusting your body's wisdom as a whole, you support healing at every level. As you rest in this awareness of your body's intelligence, notice any places where you might still be holding subtle control or tension. Are you trying to breathe in a certain way instead of letting your body breathe itself? Are you holding your body in a particular position instead of letting it find its own comfort? Are you monitoring sensations with judgment rather than simple observation? Wherever you notice these subtle holdings, practice release. Let go of the need to manage or control. Trust that your body knows what it needs far better than your conscious mind. This trust deepens over time. The more you practice it, the more you experience its benefits, the easier it becomes to truly let go and allow your body's wisdom to guide the healing process. You're not abandoning your body by releasing control. You're actually showing it the ultimate respect, acknowledging that its intelligence is profound and trustworthy. This respectful partnership between conscious mind and embodied wisdom is the foundation of true healing, the kind that goes deep and lasts, the kind that addresses not just symptoms but causes, the kind that leads to genuine transformation. The third principle of healing sleep is learning to work with the breath as the bridge between conscious mind and unconscious healing processes. The breath is unique among bodily functions because it operates both automatically and voluntarily. You don't have to think about breathing for it to happen, yet you can also consciously direct your breath when you choose. This makes the breath the perfect tool for supporting the body's natural healing while maintaining just enough conscious awareness to set healing intention without interfering with automatic processes. In Buddhist meditation traditions, breath awareness is considered fundamental to all practice. The breath is sometimes called the anchor because it keeps you grounded in the present moment. It's happening now. Always now, never in the past or future. When your mind wanders into thoughts about yesterday or tomorrow, returning attention to breath brings you back to the only moment where healing can actually occur. The breath is also sometimes called the bridge because it connects the voluntary and involuntary aspects of your being, the conscious and unconscious, the mind and body. There's a beautiful story from the life of a Buddhist monk named Ajahn Chah. A student approached him complaining that he couldn't focus his mind during meditation. Thoughts constantly distracted him, and he felt like he was making no progress. Ajahn Chah listened patiently and then asked the student a simple question. "When you breathe in, do you know you're breathing in?" "Yes," the student replied. "When you breathe out, do you know you're breathing out?" "Yes." "Then you're already succeeding," Ajahn Chah said with a smile. "The practice is nothing more than this. Knowing when you're breathing in, knowing when you're breathing out, everything else will unfold naturally from this simple awareness. This teaching applies perfectly to healing sleep. You don't need to control your breath in complicated ways. You simply need to be aware of it, to stay connected with it, to let it guide you deeper into rest while maintaining the thread of conscious awareness that supports healing intention. As you rest here now, bring gentle attention to your natural breath. Notice where you feel it most clearly, perhaps in your nostrils as air flows in and out, perhaps in your chest as it rises and falls, perhaps in your belly as it expands and releases. There's no right place to feel the breath. Simply notice where it's most apparent to you. Now, without changing anything, just observe the qualities of your breath. Is it shallow or deep? Fast or slow? Smooth or irregular? Quiet or audible? There's no judgment here, no right or wrong. You're simply noticing what's actually happening. This non-judgmental observation is itself therapeutic. So often we breathe with unconscious patterns of holding and tension. Simply observing the breath with kind awareness begins to soften these patterns naturally. The breath has its own wisdom, just like the body does. When you're active or stressed, the breath naturally becomes faster and shallower, delivering quick bursts of oxygen to support activity. When you're at rest, the breath naturally slows and deepens, shifting into a pattern that's optimal for restoration and healing. By simply paying attention to your breath without trying to control it, you allow it to find its natural rhythm for this moment of rest. Notice now if your breath has already begun to change simply from being observed. Many people find that their breath automatically deepens and slows when they bring kind attention to it. This is the breath's natural response to awareness. It's as if the breath has been waiting for you to pay attention, and when you finally do, it can settle into its most healing pattern. In Buddhist teachings, there are practices called the four-breath body, techniques of working with breath to cultivate different qualities of mind and being. Tonight, we'll work with a very simple breathing practice specifically designed to deepen rest and support healing. This practice doesn't require counting or complicated patterns. It simply involves a gentle emphasis on the exhale, making the out-breath slightly longer than the in-breath. This sends a powerful signal to your nervous system that it's safe to rest. Here's why this works. Your nervous system has two main modes. The sympathetic nervous system activates you for action, the famous fight or flight response. The parasympathetic nervous system relaxes you for rest, sometimes called the rest and digest response. These two systems are connected to your breath in specific ways. The inhale tends to activate the sympathetic system slightly, while the exhale activates the parasympathetic system. By making your exhale a bit longer than your inhale, you're essentially telling your nervous system that it's time to shift into rest and healing mode. Let's practice this together. Breathe in naturally through your nose for a count of 3 or 4, whatever feels comfortable. Then breathe out slowly through your nose or mouth for a count of 4 or 5, just slightly longer than the inhale. The exact numbers don't matter. What matters is that the exhale is a bit longer and slower than the inhale. Continue this gentle pattern for several breaths, allowing each exhale to carry away tension, to signal safety, to deepen your rest. As you practice this breathing, imagine that with each exhale, you're releasing not just air, but anything in your body or mind that doesn't serve healing. Old stress, accumulated tension, emotional holdings, mental concerns, all of it flowing out with your breath like a gentle tide flowing out to sea. And with each inhale, imagine that you're breathing in healing energy, whatever that means to you. Perhaps it's light, perhaps warmth, perhaps peace, perhaps simply fresh vitality. Your body knows what it needs. Trust that your breath is bringing it in. The breath is also intimately connected with pain management. In Buddhist traditions, there are teachings about breathing with pain rather than against it. When we experience pain or discomfort, our natural instinct is often to tense up around it, to hold our breath, to resist. But this resistance actually amplifies the pain. The Buddhist approach is to breathe directly into the discomfort, to soften around it, to meet it with gentleness rather than resistance. If there are any areas of discomfort in your body right now, practice breathing toward them. As you inhale, Imagine your breath flowing directly to that place, bringing oxygen, bringing space, bringing kindness. As you exhale, imagine tension and discomfort flowing out with your breath. You're not trying to force pain away. You're simply breathing with it, making space around it, offering it attention and care. Often when we do this, we discover that the pain itself doesn't necessarily decrease, but our suffering around the pain decreases significantly. We learn that we can be okay even in the presence of discomfort. There's a profound teaching story about this from ancient India. A man was shot with an arrow and began screaming in agony. The Buddha, hearing his cries, approached and asked, "Why do you scream so?" "I've been shot with an arrow," the man cried. "It's excruciating." The Buddha nodded compassionately and then asked, "But why do you shoot yourself with a second arrow?" The man looked confused. "I don't understand." "What second arrow?" The Buddha explained, "The first arrow is the physical pain, which is inevitable in human life. But you're shooting yourself with a second arrow of mental suffering by resisting the pain, by screaming about how terrible it is, by wishing desperately that it weren't happening. This second arrow is optional. This is the suffering you create yourself through resistance. This teaching transforms how we relate to discomfort during rest and sleep. Physical sensations may arise, some pleasant, some neutral, some unpleasant. This is the first arrow, the inevitable reality of having a body. But we don't have to add the second arrow of mental resistance and suffering. We can simply breathe with what is, allowing sensations to be present without making them into problems that need to be solved before rest is possible. The breath is also the key to working skillfully with thoughts during this time of rest. Many people struggle with racing thoughts when they lie down to sleep. The body becomes still, but the mind continues its endless activity. Traditional advice often suggests trying to empty the mind or stop thinking altogether, but this rarely works and usually just creates more frustration. The Buddhist approach is different. Rather than trying to stop thoughts, you simply notice them without following them, using the breath as an anchor. Here's how this works. As you rest with awareness on your breath, a thought will inevitably arise. This is completely natural and not a problem. The moment you notice you've been thinking, rather than judging yourself or feeling frustrated, simply acknowledge thinking and gently return your attention to the breath. The breath is like coming home. No matter how far your mind wanders, the breath is always here, always now, always available as a place to return to. With practice, you'll notice that thoughts begin to lose their compelling power. They're still there, arising and passing like clouds in the sky, but they don't hook you as strongly. You don't have to follow every thought to its conclusion, don't have to solve every problem, don't have to review every conversation. You can simply let thoughts be present in the background, while your primary attention rests with breath and body. This is a profound skill that supports not just sleep, but all of life. As thoughts become less dominant, you may notice that your awareness begins to expand. Instead of attention being narrowly focused on thought content, it becomes more spacious, more ambient. You're aware of your breath, aware of your body, aware of sounds in the environment, aware of thoughts floating by, but you're not exclusively identified with any of these things. You're resting as the aware space in which all these experiences arise. This spacious awareness is profoundly restful and creates optimal conditions for healing. The Buddha taught that suffering comes from identification and attachment. When we identify with our thoughts, believing them to be absolute truth, we suffer. When we identify with our pain, believing it defines us, we suffer. But when we can rest as the awareness that witnesses thoughts and sensations without being defined by them, we discover a peace that's independent of changing conditions. This is the peace that allows deepest healing. Your breath is the practical tool for discovering this spacious awareness. Each time you return attention to breath, you're practicing disidentification from thought. You're remembering that you are not your thoughts. You're the awareness that notices thoughts. You're not your pain or discomfort. You're the awareness that includes pain but is larger than it. This shift in identity is subtle but transformative. As you continue breathing here, allowing each exhale to be a gentle release, each inhale to be a soft receiving, notice how time seems to become less solid. Past and future lose their grip on your consciousness. There's only this breath, this moment, this now. This is the eternal present where healing lives. Your body doesn't heal in the past or future. It heals now. The cells repairing themselves are doing it now. The immune system fighting infection is doing it now. The nervous system restoring balance is doing it now. By anchoring in the breath, you align your consciousness with the nowness where healing actually happens. In Zen Buddhism, there's a practice called just this, where you bring full attention to whatever is happening in this moment without adding anything to it. Just breathing, just being, just resting. This simplicity is incredibly powerful. Modern life is so complex, so full of multitasking and stimulation and information that we've forgotten the profound power of simplicity. But your body hasn't forgotten. Your body knows that healing happens in simple presence, not in complicated doing. As this principle of healing breath becomes embodied in your experience, you may notice that breathing itself becomes pleasurable, something to savor rather than just an automatic function. Each breath is a gift, a renewal, a small miracle. Air flows in freely, given by the world. Life force enters your body. The miracle of gas exchange happens. Air flows out, returning to the world what you no longer need. This continuous exchange with the environment around you is a constant reminder that you're not separate, not isolated, but intimately connected with all of life. Feel this connection now. The air you're breathing has been breathed by countless beings before you. The oxygen molecules entering your lungs right now have cycled through trees and oceans, through animals and plants, through the atmosphere for billions of years. You're participating in an ancient cycle, a cosmic breath that all life shares. This recognition can bring a profound sense of belonging, of being held by something much larger than your individual self. And in this sense of belonging, in this knowing that you're part of the great web of life, healing deepens. The breath is also your companion through the transition from waking into sleep. As you move closer to sleep, your breath will naturally become slower, deeper, more subtle. You don't have to make this happen. It will happen by itself as part of the natural process of falling asleep. Your role is simply to stay gently connected with your breath, to ride it like a wave carrying you from the shore of wakefulness to the ocean of sleep. The breath knows the way. Trust it to carry you. The fourth principle of healing sleep is cultivating deep compassion for yourself, meeting whatever arises in body or mind with tenderness rather than judgment. This principle might seem less practical than the others, more emotional than physiological, but in truth, it may be the most powerful healing force available to you. The quality of kindness you bring to your own experience directly affects your nervous system, your hormone levels, your immune function, and your capacity to heal. In Buddhist teachings, compassion is not just a nice sentiment, but a transformative practice. The word for compassion in Pali, the language of the earliest Buddhist texts, is karuna, which means the trembling or quivering of the heart in response to suffering. Compassion is the natural response of an open heart that witnesses pain, whether in oneself or others, and wishes for that pain to be eased. When directed toward yourself, compassion becomes a profound healing force. There's a teaching story about this from the life of Ajahn Chah, a beloved Thai meditation master. A Western student came to him racked with guilt and shame about past mistakes. "I've done terrible things," the student confessed. "I don't deserve peace or happiness. I should suffer for what I've done." Ajahn Chah listened quietly and then asked, "If you saw a small child who had made a mistake and was crying, what would you do?" "I would comfort the child," the student said. "I would tell them it's okay, that everyone makes mistakes, that they're still loved." "Would you beat the child and tell them they deserve to suffer?" Ajahn Chah asked. "No, of course not," the student replied, horrified at the thought. "Then why?" Ajahn Chah asked gently. "Do you treat yourself worse than you would treat a small child? You too deserve comfort and kindness, especially from yourself." This story illuminates something crucial about healing. We cannot heal in an atmosphere of self-judgment and harshness. The body needs safety to heal, and safety includes emotional safety, the felt sense that you're okay, that you're worthy of care, that whatever is happening with you deserves kindness rather than criticism. When you relate to yourself with compassion, your nervous system relaxes out of protective vigilance and into receptive restoration. When you relate to yourself with judgment, your nervous system remains activated, treating your own criticism as a threat. As you rest here now, notice the quality of your internal atmosphere. Is there a sense of okayness, of being held in kindness? Or is there a subtle undercurrent of self-judgment? A feeling that you should be more relaxed than you are, that you're not doing this right, that something is wrong with you? This self-judgment is so habitual for many people that it becomes almost invisible, a constant background noise that we no longer consciously notice but that creates constant stress nonetheless. Let's practice shifting this atmosphere now. Bring to mind a being toward whom you feel natural tenderness. This might be a child, a beloved pet, a dear friend, anyone who evokes warmth in your heart. Notice how it feels to think of this being with love. Notice the quality of gentleness, of wishing them well, of wanting them to be happy and free from suffering. Feel how this loving attention creates a warmth in your chest, a softening in your body. Now imagine that you could turn this same quality of loving attention toward yourself, not in a narcissistic way, but with the same genuine care you would offer to that child or friend. You are also worthy of love. You are also deserving of tenderness. What would it feel like to hold yourself in your own loving awareness? As you breathe here, imagine breathing in loving kindness for yourself. With each inhale, breathing in acceptance, worthiness, compassion. With each exhale, breathing out self-judgment, harshness, criticism. This practice might feel awkward at first, especially if you're not accustomed to treating yourself with kindness. Our culture often teaches that self-compassion is self-indulgent, that we should be tough on ourselves, that self-criticism is what drives improvement. But research in psychology has shown exactly the opposite. Self-compassion actually increases motivation and resilience, while self-criticism tends to create anxiety, depression, and giving up. More importantly for healing, self-compassion creates the felt sense of safety that allows the body to direct its resources toward restoration rather than defense. There's a specific practice in Buddhist tradition called loving-kindness meditation, or metta practice. In its traditional form, you silently repeat phrases of well-wishing for yourself and others. Tonight, we'll adapt this practice specifically for healing sleep. As you rest here, breathing naturally, silently offer yourself these phrases or ones similar that feel authentic to you. May I be at peace. May my body heal. May I rest deeply. May I be held in loving kindness. Repeat these phrases slowly, allowing them to sink in, to be felt rather than just thought. You're not trying to force yourself to believe something untrue. You're simply offering yourself the same good wishes you would naturally offer to someone you care about. With each repetition of these phrases, you're creating a field of compassion around yourself. Imagine this compassion as a warm, gentle light surrounding your body, or as a soft blanket of kindness wrapping around you, or as a presence of unconditional love holding you. Use whatever imagery feels most natural and comforting. The specific image matters less than the felt sense of being held in love. As you practice this compassionate presence with yourself, you may notice emotions arising. This is completely natural. When we offer ourselves kindness, especially if we're not used to it, stored emotions often surface. You might feel sadness about how harshly you've been treating yourself. You might feel grief about difficulties you've been carrying alone. You might feel relief at finally being offered the kindness you've been longing for. Whatever emotions arise, meet them with the same compassion. Emotions are not problems. They're simply energy moving through you, and when met with kindness, they flow and complete rather than getting stuck. The Buddha taught that all beings without exception want to be happy and free from suffering. This includes you. No matter what you've done, no matter what mistakes you've made, no matter how you judge yourself, at your deepest level, you deserve happiness and freedom from suffering just like any other being. This is not something you have to earn. It's your birthright simply by virtue of being alive. This compassionate perspective transforms how you relate to discomfort during rest. If you notice tension in your body instead of judging yourself for not being relaxed enough, you can meet the tension with curiosity and kindness. Oh, there's tension in my shoulders. That makes sense. I've been carrying a lot today. With compassion for the body that's been working so hard, the tension often naturally releases. If your mind is busy with thoughts, instead of frustration, you can meet it with understanding. Of course my mind is active. It's been processing so much today. With compassion for the mind that's been working so hard, the thoughts often naturally settle. Compassion also extends to the process of healing itself. Many people feel frustrated with their bodies when healing takes time, when pain persists, when energy is slow to to return. This frustration is itself a form of suffering that compounds the physical difficulty. But what if you could meet your body's healing process with patience and trust? What if you could honor that healing takes the time it takes, that your body is doing its best, that pushing and demanding faster results usually just interferes with the natural process? There's a story about a farmer who planted seeds and then became impatient waiting for them to sprout. Each day he would go to the field and complain that the seeds weren't growing fast enough. Finally, unable to contain his impatience, he went to the field, dug up the seeds, and tried to pull the tiny sprouts upward to make them grow faster. Of course, this killed the seedlings. Growth cannot be forced. It can only be supported through proper conditions and then allowed to unfold in its own timing. Healing is the same. Your body has its own timeline for restoration. Compassion means honoring this timeline, trusting the process, being patient with your body as it does the complex work of healing. In Buddhist psychology, there's a teaching about the near enemy of compassion. The near enemy is something that looks like compassion, but is actually quite different. The near enemy of compassion is pity, which creates separation between the one who pities and the one who is pitied. Pity says, "I'm okay and you're not. I'm looking down at your suffering from a superior position." This is very different from true compassion, which recognizes shared humanity, shared vulnerability. True compassion says, "I understand suffering because I know what it is to suffer. We're in this together." When you bring compassion to yourself, make sure it's not pity. Don't look down on yourself as weak or pathetic for struggling. Instead, recognize your own humanity, your own vulnerability, your own right to kindness in the midst of difficulty. You're not pathetic for being tired. You're human. You're not weak for feeling pain. You're alive. You're not failing for having a body that needs care and rest. You're part of the natural world where all beings need care and rest. This recognition of shared humanity can be very comforting. You're not alone in struggling. You're not uniquely flawed for finding life difficult sometimes. Every human being who has ever lived has known fatigue, pain, illness, struggle. This is not a personal failure. This is the nature of having a body, of being human. When you remember this, the burden of shame or inadequacy lifts. You can simply be a human being having a human experience, deserving of the same compassion you would naturally offer to any other person facing similar difficulties. As you practice self-compassion here tonight, you're not just being nice to yourself, you're actively changing your biochemistry in ways that support healing. Research has shown that self-compassion practices reduce cortisol, the stress hormone that suppresses immune function and healing. They increase oxytocin, the bonding hormone that creates feelings of safety and connection. They activate the vagus nerve, which signals the nervous system to shift into rest and digest mode. These aren't just psychological effects. They're measurable physiological changes that directly support your body's healing processes. Feel these changes now. As you rest in compassionate awareness of yourself, notice if your body feels a bit softer, a bit warmer, a bit more relaxed. Notice if your breath has deepened naturally. Notice if there's a quality of ease that wasn't there before. These subtle shifts are the felt sense of your nervous system moving into healing mode, responding to the safety signal of self-compassion. The Buddha taught that we will never find peace by hating ourselves or our experience. Peace comes through acceptance and love. Healing comes through the same path. You cannot heal what you reject. You cannot restore what you're at war with. But when you meet your body and mind with tender acceptance, with loving presence, the natural healing intelligence that lives within you can finally do its work without obstacle. As this principle deepens in your experience, you may notice that compassion begins to feel less like something you do and more like what you are. Compassion is not just a practice, but your true nature, temporarily covered over by conditioning and habit, but always available to be rediscovered. In Buddhist understanding, every being has Buddha nature, which includes the natural capacity for compassion, wisdom, and peace. When you practice self-compassion, you're not creating something new. You're uncovering what was always there, remembering your own tender heart. Rest now in this remembering. You are held in love. You are worthy of healing. You are deserving of the deepest rest. Whatever has happened in your life, whatever is happening in your body, whatever is arising in your mind right now, all of it is met with the same unconditional compassion. You are okay. You are enough. You are loved. The fifth principle of healing sleep is embracing darkness as medicine, recognizing that the nighttime itself holds healing power when we stop resisting it and learn to receive its gifts. In our modern world, we've lost touch with natural darkness. artificial light extends the day deep into the night, and many people have developed an unconscious fear or avoidance of darkness. But the Buddhist tradition, along with wisdom traditions worldwide, has always recognized darkness as sacred, as necessary, as healing. In ancient Buddhist monasteries, the cycle of light and darkness was honored as sacred rhythm. The monks would rise before dawn to meditate in the darkness before sunrise, experiencing the stillness and depth that darkness offers. They would then move through the day's activities in natural light, and as evening came, they would again enter darkness for evening meditation and rest. This rhythm honored what darkness provides: depth, interiority, renewal, and the turning inward that's necessary for spiritual growth and physical healing. There's a teaching story about this from the Desert Fathers and Mothers, Christian contemplatives whose practices paralleled many Buddhist teachings. A young monk asked his elder, "Why do we practice in darkness? Wouldn't we see more clearly in bright light?" The elder replied, "There are two kinds of seeing. The eyes see in light, but the heart sees in darkness. When external light fades, internal light can be perceived. When we can no longer see the thousand things of the world, we can finally see the one thing that matters. Go into your cell and sit in the darkness. There you will find what you're seeking." This wisdom applies profoundly to healing. During the day, your attention is naturally directed outward toward the world. You're seeing, hearing, interacting, moving through external space. This outward direction of attention is necessary and valuable, but it's not when healing happens most deeply. Healing requires the inward turn, the withdrawal of attention from the external world and the redirection toward internal processes. Darkness facilitates this naturally. When you can't see the external world clearly, attention naturally turns inward. As you rest here now in whatever darkness surrounds you, or if you're in light, as you imagine resting in soothing darkness, notice how this feels different from the brightness of day. There's a quality of privacy, of being held in something soft and enveloping. Darkness is like a nurturing womb, a space of protection where new life can grow unseen. This is literally what's happening during sleep. You're returning to a womb-like state where your body can regenerate, where cells can divide and repair, where growth and healing happen in the privacy of your own inner world. Many people have developed a fear of darkness, often rooted in childhood experiences or cultural messages that associate darkness with danger. This fear creates tension that interferes with sleep and healing. But darkness itself is not dangerous. It's neutral, simply the absence of light. The fear comes from what we imagine might be in the darkness, from the unknown. The Buddhist approach is to turn toward what we fear with mindfulness and curiosity rather than running away from it. If you notice any unease with darkness as you rest here, practice meeting it with gentle attention. Notice where you feel the unease in your body. Is there a tightness in your chest, a tension in your belly? Simply bring kind awareness to these sensations without trying to change them. As you breathe with these sensations, offering them compassion, the fear often transforms. You discover that you're actually okay, that the darkness is not harming you, that you're safe even though you can't see everything around you. This practice of being at peace in darkness is itself healing because it addresses the root of so much human suffering, the fear of the unknown, the anxiety about what we can't control or see or predict. Life is full of unknowns. We can never see the whole picture. We're always operating with partial information, moving through mystery. When we can learn to be okay with this, to rest peacefully in the darkness of not knowing, we develop a profound resilience that supports well-being on every level. In Buddhist meditation, there are practices done specifically in darkness or with eyes closed to cultivate this comfort with internal awareness. When you close your eyes, you enter a kind of darkness, even if you're in a lit room. This darkness behind your eyelids becomes a screen on which your inner world can be perceived. You see the subtle lights and colors that appear in the darkness, the phosphonies and patterns of your own visual system. You become aware of your thoughts as movements in inner space. You feel your body from the inside rather than seeing it from the outside. This shift from external to internal perception is crucial for healing. During sleep, you're not perceiving the external world at all. Your senses are disengaged from external stimuli and turned toward internal processing. Your brain is sorting through the day's experiences, consolidating memories, integrating learning. Your body is conducting its maintenance and repair work. All of this happens in the darkness of sleep, in the interior space where you can't watch or control or interfere. Learning to trust this darkness, to surrender into it rather than resist it, is a profound practice. It's practice for the ultimate darkness that every being will eventually face at death, Buddhist traditions recognize that learning to die well begins with learning to sleep well, with learning to surrender consciousness into darkness without fear, trusting that this letting go is natural and safe. As you rest here now, imagine darkness not as empty or frightening, but as full of healing potential. In the darkness, your body knows exactly what to do. Your cells have their instructions, your systems know their rhythms, your organs coordinate their functions. All of this happens without light, without being seen, in the private darkness of your body's interior. This darkness is not absence, but presence. The presence of life doing its deep work beyond the reach of conscious observation. In Taoist philosophy, which influenced Buddhist practice in China and Japan, darkness is associated with yin, the receptive, feminine principle. Light is yang, the active, masculine principle. Both are necessary and valuable, but they must be in balance. Modern life is overwhelmingly yang-oriented, emphasizing action, productivity, visibility, achievement. This creates imbalance and exhaustion. The yin of darkness offers the necessary complement, receptivity, rest, invisibility, restoration. When you honor darkness and allow yourself to fully receive its gifts, you restore balance to your entire being. Feel what it's like to be receptive rather than active right now. Instead of doing anything, you're simply receiving. Receiving the support of whatever you're lying on, receiving the air as it flows into your lungs, receiving whatever sensations arise in your body, receiving thoughts without having to act on them, receiving emotions without having to express them. This receptivity is the essence of yin, and it's what darkness teaches. In the natural world, all of life honors the cycle of light and darkness. Plants close their flowers at night and cease photosynthesis, entering a rest state. Animals sleep or enter periods of lowered activity. Even bacteria follow circadian rhythms. This rhythm is not arbitrary, but is written into the very structure of life on Earth, shaped by millions of years of evolution under the cycle of day and night. When you honor darkness and align with natural rhythms, you're not following some abstract principle, but cooperating with the deepest patterns of life itself. Your body has internal clocks that regulate everything from hormone release to cell division based on light and darkness signals. Melatonin, the hormone that induces sleep and has powerful antioxidant effects that support healing, is produced in darkness. Cortisol, which wakes you up and activates your system, is suppressed in darkness and rises with light. Growth hormone, which is crucial for healing and cellular repair, is released during deep sleep in darkness. By honoring darkness and creating conditions for deep rest in darkness, you're supporting the optimal functioning of these crucial hormonal rhythms. There's a practice from Buddhist tradition of contemplating the elements, recognizing that your body is made from earth, water, fire, and air, and will return to these elements. Darkness can be understood as the space element, the emptiness in which all the other elements arise and to which they return. This space is not nothing but rather the pregnant void, the potent emptiness from which all creation emerges. When you rest in darkness, you're resting in this creative space where anything is possible, where healing and renewal can happen. Imagine darkness now as a healing balm applied to your entire being. Darkness soothes eyes that have been strained by screens and light all day. Darkness quiets a mind that has been overstimulated by visual information. Darkness provides privacy for emotions that need to be felt without being observed. Darkness creates the conditions for dreams, those mysterious communications from the unconscious that often bring insight and integration. Darkness is not your enemy but your ally in healing and wholeness. In some Buddhist meditations, practitioners visualize themselves dissolving into darkness, releasing all sense of solid form and becoming one with the space of pure awareness. This practice prepares for both sleep and death, teaching that your essential nature is not the solid body, but the spacious awareness that contains body, thoughts, emotions, all of experience. When you can rest in this awareness, darkness loses any sense of threat because you recognize yourself as the space itself rather than as a small, separate self that darkness might harm. As you practice this now, feel how you could dissolve into the darkness around you. The boundary between your body and the space around it becomes less solid. You're not disappearing but expanding, recognizing that you're not just inside your skin but are one with the space that contains your body. This might sound abstract, but if you allow yourself to feel it rather than think it, you may notice a profound shift in consciousness. There's a deep relaxation that comes from recognizing yourself as space rather than just as form. This recognition is not just philosophical, but practical for healing. When you're identified only with your solid body, every pain and limitation feels like a threat to your very existence. But when you recognize yourself as spacious awareness that contains the body, you can hold pain and limitation with more ease. The body may be uncomfortable, but the awareness that holds the body is vast and at peace. This shift in identity creates dramatic changes in how you experience discomfort and in how readily healing can occur. The darkness of night is also when dreams arise, and dreams have always been recognized in Buddhist tradition as important for healing and insight. During REM sleep, when most vivid dreaming occurs, your brain is actively processing emotional experiences, working through conflicts, consolidating learning, and making creative connections. Dreams are your psyche's way of healing itself, of integrating difficult experiences, of working through what consciousness couldn't resolve during waking hours. You don't need to analyze your dreams or remember them for this healing work to happen. Simply creating the conditions for deep sleep allows the natural dreaming process to do its work. But if you wish to remember your dreams, the practice is simple. Before falling asleep, set a gentle intention to remember your dreams. Keep a journal nearby. When you wake, lie still for a moment before moving and allow dream images to return to memory. Write down whatever you recall without judgment or interpretation. Dreams often speak in symbol and metaphor, and their healing effect comes not from intellectual understanding, but from allowing the images and feelings to be present. As this principle of embracing darkness as medicine deepens in your experience, you may find that you actually begin to look forward to nighttime, to anticipate with pleasure the turning inward that darkness allows. The night becomes not something to get through, but something to savor, a sacred time when the healing you need most can occur away from the demands and stimulations of day. This shift in perspective transforms your entire relationship with rest. The Buddhist path is sometimes called the path of awakening, but it's important to understand that this awakening includes honoring sleep. We're not trying to be conscious every moment of every day. We're learning to be fully present and aware when we're awake, and fully surrendered and restful when we sleep. Both states are valuable. Both are sacred. The darkness of sleep is as important to honor as the light of wakefulness. Rest now in this darkness, literal or imagined. Feel it holding you, protecting you, providing the perfect environment for the deepest healing. You are safe in this darkness. You are held in this space. You are being renewed in ways you cannot see but can trust are happening perfectly. Now that we've explored the 5 principles of healing sleep, we enter the space where understanding begins to transform into direct experience. This is where Buddhist teachings become most powerful, not as concepts to grasp intellectually, but as lived reality to embody fully. In this section, we'll explore deeper teachings and stories that illuminate the profound connection between body, mind, and spirit, and how healing happens when these 3 are recognized as one unified whole. In the ancient texts of Buddhism, there's a teaching called the 3 bodies of the Buddha. While this teaching has many levels of meaning, one interpretation is particularly relevant to healing. The first body is the physical form, the actual flesh and bones and organs. The second body is the energetic or subtle body, the field of life force and consciousness that animates the physical form. The third body is the universal body, the recognition that your individual consciousness is not separate from the consciousness of all existence. When healing occurs at all 3 levels simultaneously, transformation is complete and lasting. Most modern approaches to healing focus almost exclusively on the physical body. Take this medicine, do this exercise, change this behavior. While these interventions can be helpful, they often address only symptoms rather than root causes because they ignore the energetic and spiritual dimensions where many illnesses actually originate. The Buddhist approach recognizes that true healing must address all 3 bodies, working with the physical, the energetic, and the spiritual as an integrated whole. There's a story about this from the life of the Medicine Buddha, a figure in Buddhist mythology who represents the healing aspect of enlightened consciousness. A king came to the Medicine Buddha with a persistent illness that no physician could cure. The king had tried every medicine, every treatment, every healing modality available, but nothing worked. The medicine Buddha looked at him with compassionate eyes and said, "Your body is sick because your mind is disturbed. Your mind is disturbed because your spirit has forgotten its true nature. If you wish to heal your body, you must first heal your understanding of who you are." The king was confused. "How can my thoughts about myself affect my physical illness?" the medicine Buddha explained. "Your body is not separate from your mind, and your mind is not separate from the universal consciousness that creates and sustains all things. When you believe yourself to be a small, separate self, cut off from the source of life, this belief creates contraction and fear. This fear manifests as tension in your energetic body, and this tension eventually manifests as disease in your physical body. To heal completely, you must remember that you are not separate, that you are held in the infinite embrace of life itself. This teaching points to something profound. Much of illness and disease, while having clear physical manifestations, originates in the psychological and spiritual dimensions. Chronic stress from feeling separate and unsupported. Tension from trying to control what cannot be controlled, inflammation from unprocessed emotions, immune dysfunction from lack of loving connection. These patterns begin in consciousness and eventually express themselves in the body. To heal them completely requires addressing not just the physical symptoms, but the underlying patterns in mind and spirit. As you rest here now, consider what might be the deeper source of any health challenges you're facing. This isn't about blaming yourself or feeling guilty for being sick. Illness happens and is part of being human, but it can be empowering to recognize that you have more agency in your healing than you might think. That by working with your consciousness and energy as well as your physical body, you may access deeper levels of healing. In Buddhist practice, there's a meditation specifically designed to work with the energetic body. It's called the inner fire meditation, or tumo in Tibetan. While the traditional practice is quite advanced and requires guidance from a teacher, we can work with a simplified version that's safe and beneficial for supporting healing sleep. This practice involves imagining a source of healing warmth in your body and allowing it to spread. Let's practice together. Imagine a small sphere of golden light in the center of your chest, in your heart area. This light is warm and gentle, like sunlight or like the warmth of unconditional love. This is your inner healing fire, the life force that animates your body and has the intelligence to heal whatever needs healing. Simply rest your attention on this warm, golden light in your heart center. Now, with each breath, imagine this light growing slightly brighter and warmer, not with force, but with gentle encouragement. Like blowing softly on embers to help them glow. As this inner light grows stronger, it begins to radiate warmth throughout your body. Feel or imagine this healing warmth spreading from your heart center in all directions, up into your throat and head, down into your belly and pelvis, out through your shoulders and arms and hands, down through your hips and legs and feet. This warmth is not ordinary heat, it's healing energy, carrying with it the intelligence of your body's innate healing capacity. Wherever this warmth reaches, it supports cellular repair, reduces inflammation, eases pain, restores balance. You don't have to know exactly how it works. You simply trust that this warmth carries healing wherever your body needs it most. As you continue this visualization, you might notice actual physical sensations of warmth. This is the mind-body connection in action. Consciousness affects physiology directly. Studies have shown that visualization practices like this can actually increase blood flow, raise local temperature, and activate healing processes. Whether you feel obvious physical sensations or not, trust that the practice is working on subtle levels. This practice addresses the second body, the energetic body, by working directly with life force and consciousness. In traditional Asian medicine, illness is understood as blockages or imbalances in the flow of chi or life force through the body. When energy flows freely, health is natural. When energy becomes blocked or stagnant, illness develops. Practices like this meditation help restore free flow of healing energy. Continue to rest in this visualization as long as it feels beneficial. The golden light in your heart center, radiating healing warmth throughout your entire body. This warmth dissolving any blockages, easing any tensions, supporting healing wherever it's needed. Trust that your consciousness knows where to direct this healing energy, even without your conscious mind having to figure it out. Now we'll add the third dimension, working with the universal body, the spiritual level. As you continue to feel or imagine the warmth spreading through your body, recognize that the source of this healing energy is not limited to your individual self. It's connected to the infinite source of healing that sustains all of life. the same intelligence that heals a cut on your finger without you having to think about it, the same intelligence that grew you from a single cell into a complex organism, the same intelligence that beats your heart and breathes your breath. This universal intelligence is what's healing you now. Feel how this shifts the sense of where healing comes from. It's not just you trying to heal yourself through personal effort. You're opening to receive healing from the source of all healing, the universal life force that Buddhism calls Buddha nature, that other traditions call by different names but that all recognize as the sacred ground of being. This recognition releases the burden of having to heal yourself alone. You're not alone. You're supported by the infinite intelligence of life itself. There's a beautiful practice in Buddhist tradition called taking and sending, where you breathe in suffering and breathe out healing, not just for yourself but for all beings. We'll adapt this practice now for healing sleep. As you breathe in, imagine breathing in not just air but the suffering of all beings who are struggling with illness, pain, or difficulty sleeping. You're not taking on their actual suffering, but rather meeting suffering with compassion, acknowledging that all beings struggle, all beings deserve healing. As you breathe out, imagine breathing out healing, peace, and rest, not just for yourself, but for all beings everywhere who need healing. Your own healing becomes part of the healing of all beings. This might sound strange, but there's profound psychology here. When we move beyond sole focus on our personal suffering and connect with the universal experience of suffering and healing, our individual problems feel less overwhelming. We're part of something larger, and this recognition itself is healing. The Buddha taught that separation is illusion, that all beings are interconnected in ways we usually don't perceive. When you recognize this interconnection, when you hold your personal healing within the larger context of universal healing, you tap into sources of support and strength beyond your individual resources. You're not just a small, separate self trying to heal. You're part of the great body of life itself, and that great body has extraordinary resources for healing. In Buddhist cosmology, there are stories of pure lands, realms of consciousness where conditions are perfect for healing and spiritual growth. The Pure Land of the Medicine Buddha, for example, is described as a place where even the sound of the breeze through trees speaks teachings of healing, where the very ground radiates healing energy, where illness cannot exist because the environment is so perfectly supportive of health and wholeness. While these descriptions might sound mythological, they can be understood psychologically as states of consciousness that we can access. Right now, as you rest in this healing visualization, surrounded by warmth and light, connected to the infinite source of healing, you are in a sense in the pure land of the Medicine Buddha. You've created through your consciousness a field of perfect support for healing. This isn't fantasy or imagination, but a shift in awareness that has real effects on your physiology and your healing capacity. Consciousness creates reality. The state of consciousness you rest in now creates a reality where healing is not just possible, but natural and inevitable. There's a practice in Tibetan Buddhism of deity yoga, where practitioners visualize themselves as already enlightened, already healed, already whole. This isn't denial of present reality, but affirmation of deeper reality, the truth that beneath all temporary conditions of illness or struggle, your essential nature is already perfect, already complete. When you rest in this recognition, your body begins to align with this deeper truth, and healing happens naturally as you return to your true state. Let's practice this now. Instead of seeing yourself as a sick person trying to become healthy, recognize yourself as the embodiment of perfect health temporarily experiencing some symptoms. This is not denial, but perspective shift. Symptoms are real, but temporary. They're like clouds passing through the sky of your being. The sky remains vast and clear even when clouds are present. You are not your symptoms. You are the spacious awareness in which symptoms appear. Feel how this recognition changes your relationship with any health challenges. Instead of being defined by illness, you're the eternal witness of temporary experience. This doesn't mean you ignore symptoms or don't seek appropriate treatment. It means you don't lose yourself in identification with illness. You remain rooted in your true nature, which is essentially healthy, essentially whole, essentially perfect, even while managing temporary imperfection in the body. The Buddha taught that all conditioned things are impermanent, including illness, including pain, including the very body itself. Everything that arises will also pass away. This isn't pessimistic, but liberating. Whatever you're experiencing now is not permanent. It will change. By recognizing the impermanent nature of all conditions, you free yourself from the suffering that comes from grasping or resisting what is. This teaching on impermanence is particularly relevant to healing. Healing is itself a process of change, of transformation from one state to another. When you resist change, even change from illness to health, you create obstacles to the very healing you seek. But when you embrace impermanence, when you recognize that your current state is not fixed, when you trust that change is the nature of all existence, you align with the natural process of healing. Feel this now. Whatever sensations are present in your body, recognize that they're already changing, even if imperceptibly. The body you inhabit right now is different from the body you inhabited when you began this practice. Millions of cells have been replaced, chemical reactions have occurred, neural pathways have been activated or quieted. Change is happening constantly, inevitably. Healing is change in the direction of greater balance, greater wholeness. By embracing change rather than trying to keep everything fixed, you support the natural direction of healing. In Zen Buddhism, there's a practice of just sitting, where you simply rest in awareness without trying to achieve any particular state or experience. This practice has profound healing benefits because it releases the strain of constant doing and achieving and allows the body to simply be. Your body doesn't need to be micromanaged to heal, it needs to be allowed to heal. Just sitting, or in this case just resting, creates the space for natural healing to occur. As we complete this deeper exploration of Buddhist teachings on healing, take a moment to integrate what you've experienced. You've worked with all three bodies: the physical body through breath and sensation, the energetic body through visualization of inner light and warmth, the universal body through recognizing your connection to all healing everywhere. This integrated approach addresses healing at every level, creating conditions for transformation that goes beyond symptom relief to genuine restoration of wholeness. The teachings you've received tonight are not just information but transmission, an actual transfer of healing energy and consciousness from the lineage of Buddhist healers stretching back thousands of years. By opening yourself to receive these teachings, by practicing them sincerely, you've connected yourself with this lineage of healing wisdom. You're not alone on this healing journey. You're supported by the accumulated blessings of countless beings who have walked this path before you. As we move into the deeper hours of night and your body settles even more completely into rest, let's explore the natural rhythms of the body's healing processes and how to align with them for optimal restoration. Your body operates on multiple cycles simultaneously, each with its own timing, each serving crucial functions for health and wholeness. When you understand these rhythms and work with them rather than against them, you amplify the healing that occurs during sleep. The most obvious rhythm is the circadian rhythm, the 24-hour cycle that regulates the sleep-wake cycle. But beneath this obvious rhythm are many others. Your body has ultradian rhythms, cycles of approximately 90 minutes that govern everything from sleep stages to hormone release to cellular repair processes. Your body has weekly rhythms, monthly rhythms, seasonal rhythms, all encoded in your biology through millions of years of evolution. In Buddhist cosmology, time is understood as cyclical rather than linear. The universe goes through vast cycles of creation and destruction, of manifestation and dissolution. Within these cosmic cycles are smaller cycles, down to the rhythm of your breath, which mirrors the largest cycles. Each breath is a miniature birth and death, a coming into being and a passing away. When you align yourself consciously with these natural rhythms, you participate in the sacred dance of creation itself. There's a teaching from traditional Chinese medicine, which influenced Buddhist approaches to healing, about the organ clock. According to this teaching, different organs and systems are most active at different times of the day and night. The liver, for example, is most active in the hours between 1 and 3 in the morning, conducting crucial detoxification work. The lungs are most active between 3 and 5 in the morning, which is why breathing difficulties often worsen during these hours. The kidneys, the heart, the digestive system, each has its time of peak activity and its time of rest. While you don't need to become an expert in these systems, it's valuable to recognize that your body has its own intelligence about timing. When you create consistent sleep schedules, going to bed and waking around the same times each day, you support your body's natural rhythms. When your schedule is chaotic and unpredictable, your body's internal clocks become confused and healing processes become disrupted. One of the most powerful things you can do for healing is simply to honor consistent sleep timing. As you rest here now, you're entering into the peak healing hours of the night. night. If you're practicing this in the evening or at your normal bedtime, the hours ahead are when your body will do its most intensive repair work. Growth hormone will be released, particularly during deep sleep. Cellular repair mechanisms will be activated. Your immune system will be strengthened. Memories will be consolidated. Emotions will be processed. All of this follows predictable rhythms that your body knows intimately. The first cycle of sleep begins with light sleep, a transition stage where you're hovering between waking and sleeping. This is when your body begins to relax more deeply, when your heart rate and breathing slow, when your temperature drops slightly. If you're awakened during this stage, you might not even realize you had fallen asleep. This light sleep stage is important because it's the gateway to deeper stages. Trying to force yourself directly into deep sleep usually doesn't work. You have to allow the natural progression through the stages. After light sleep comes deeper, non-REM sleep, where your brain waves slow significantly. This is when the most restorative physical healing occurs. Growth hormone is released, tissues are repaired, energy is restored. This deep sleep is precious, and anything that disrupts it, pain, noise, stress, light, reduces the healing benefits of sleep. This is why creating optimal sleep conditions is so important. Darkness, quiet, comfort, safety. These aren't luxuries but necessities for healing. After a period of deep sleep, you'll transition into REM sleep, where dreaming is most vivid. During REM, your brain is highly active, almost as active as when you're awake, but your body is largely paralyzed to prevent you from acting out your dreams. This is when emotional processing happens, when creative connections are made, when learning is consolidated. REM sleep is crucial for psychological healing and emotional resilience. This cycle, light sleep to deep sleep to REM, repeats approximately every 90 minutes throughout the night. In the early part of the night, you spend more time in deep non-REM sleep, when physical restoration is the priority. In the later part of the night, you spend more time in REM sleep, when psychological integration is the focus. This is why getting adequate total sleep time is so important. If you cut your sleep short, you're cutting short primarily the REM sleep that occurs in the morning hours, missing out on crucial emotional and cognitive restoration. Your body knows this rhythm intimately. You don't have to consciously manage it, but you do have to create the conditions that allow it to unfold naturally. This means giving yourself adequate time for sleep, not just 6 hours when your body needs 8. It means protecting your sleep from disruption as much as possible. It means honoring the entire cycle rather than thinking you can get by with less. There's a beautiful Buddhist teaching about the middle path, avoiding extremes. This applies to sleep as well. Too little sleep creates depletion and illness, but interestingly, too much sleep can also create problems. Oversleeping regularly is associated with inflammation and increased health risks. The middle path is finding your body's natural sleep need and honoring it consistently. For most adults, this is somewhere between 7 and 9 hours per night, but individual needs vary. The key is listening to your body rather than imposing some arbitrary standard. As you rest here, feel how your body is naturally beginning to move through these cycles. You don't have to manage this process. You simply have to not interfere with it. The less you try to control sleep, the more naturally it unfolds. This is the art of effortless effort, setting the conditions and then letting go, trusting the innate intelligence of your body to orchestrate the complex symphony of sleep stages. Beyond the cycles of individual nights, your body also operates on weekly and monthly rhythms. You might notice that you feel more tired on certain days of the week, or that your sleep quality varies with the lunar cycle. Women's bodies obviously follow monthly hormonal cycles that affect sleep, energy, and mood. Some people are very sensitive to seasonal changes, experiencing different sleep patterns in winter versus summer. All of these rhythms are natural variations, not problems to fix, but patterns to notice and honor. In Buddhist practice, there's an emphasis on mindfulness, on paying attention to what is rather than imposing what we think should be. Apply this mindfulness to your sleep and energy patterns. Notice what your actual patterns are, not what you think they should be or what some expert says they should be. When do you naturally feel most tired? When do you naturally wake? What is your body actually telling you through sensations and energy levels? This information is far more valuable than any external prescription. There are also cycles of activity and rest that operate throughout your waking hours. The ultradian rhythm of approximately 90 minutes that governs sleep cycles also operates during waking, creating natural periods of high focus, followed by periods where attention wanders and you feel a need for rest. Modern work culture often ignores these rhythms, expecting constant productivity for 8 or more hours. But your body cannot maintain high performance constantly. It needs periodic rest even during waking hours. Honoring these rhythms during the day actually supports better sleep at night. When you allow yourself short breaks, brief periods of rest or gentle movement, you prevent the accumulation of excessive stress and fatigue that can interfere with sleep. The traditional afternoon nap, observed in many cultures, is actually an honoring of this natural rhythm, a recognition that energy naturally dips in the afternoon and a brief rest supports the rest of the day's activities. The Buddha himself followed a rhythm that included rest periods throughout the day. The monastic schedule includes time for meditation, time for work, time for study, and time for rest. This isn't laziness, but wisdom, recognition that humans are not machines capable of constant output, but living beings with natural rhythms of activity and rest that must be honored for optimal functioning. As you continue to rest here, feel how you're not just sleeping, but participating in a sacred rhythm that connects you to all of life. Every living being sleeps or has periods of reduced activity. Plants close their stomata at night. Animals sleep. Even bacteria have rest phases. This rhythm of activity and rest is fundamental to life itself, written into the very structure of biological existence. When you honor your need for sleep and rest, you're not being weak or lazy. You're being wise, cooperating with the fundamental patterns of life. There's also a rhythm to healing itself. Healing is not linear, but occurs in waves, in cycles of progress and apparent plateau, of improvement and sometimes temporary worsening. This is normal and natural. When you cut yourself, the healing follows predictable stages. First, bleeding stops through clotting. Then, inflammation brings healing resources to the area. Then, new tissue is built. Then, remodeling occurs to restore function. Each stage is necessary and takes the time it takes. You cannot rush healing without risking incomplete or poor quality repair. The same is true for healing from illness or injury. There are stages, there are rhythms, there are periods of rapid improvement and periods where change seems imperceptible. Trusting this process, being patient with the timing of healing, is itself therapeutic. Anxiety and impatience create stress that interferes with healing. Trust and patience create the relaxed state where healing proceeds optimally. Feel this trust now. Your body is healing on its own timeline, following rhythms older than civilization, older than humanity, as old as life itself. You can trust these rhythms. You can relax into the process. You don't have to force or rush or control. You simply rest, allowing the ancient wisdom of your body to orchestrate healing with perfect timing. In Buddhist philosophy, there's a teaching called dependent origination, the understanding that everything arises dependent on conditions and causes. Nothing exists in isolation. Everything is part of a vast web of interconnection and mutual causality. Your healing is like this. It depends on countless conditions: adequate rest, proper nutrition, emotional support, your mental state, your environment, your beliefs, and attitudes. All of these factors interact in complex ways to either support or hinder healing. This teaching is empowering because it means you're not powerless in your healing. While you can't control everything, you can influence many of the conditions that affect healing. Tonight, by creating conditions of deep rest, by working with your mind and emotions, by connecting with healing energy, you're influencing your healing in positive ways. Each small choice in the direction of health and wholeness creates conditions for more healing to occur. It's like tending a garden. You can't make plants grow through sheer force of will, but you can create conditions that support growth. You can provide good soil, adequate water, appropriate light, protection from pests. When conditions are right, growth happens naturally. The same is true for healing. You create conditions, and healing happens naturally as a result. The conditions you're creating tonight are optimal for healing. Darkness supporting melatonin production and circadian rhythms. Physical rest supporting cellular repair. Mental calm, supporting parasympathetic nervous system activation. Emotional self-compassion, supporting oxytocin release and felt safety. Spiritual connection, supporting a sense of being held and supported by something larger than yourself. All of these conditions working together create a powerful field of healing. As this understanding deepens, you may notice a profound relaxation when you realize that healing is not all on your shoulders, that you're working with natural processes that have their own intelligence and momentum. A burden lifts. You're not doing this alone. You're partnering with the wisdom of your body, with the intelligence of life itself, with the support of natural rhythms that have been operating for millions of years. This partnership is effortless compared to the exhausting task of trying to heal through willpower alone. Rest now in this partnership. Feel yourself held by rhythms larger than yourself. Feel the night holding you. Feel darkness supporting your healing. Feel the earth turning beneath you, carrying you through the cycle of day into night, and eventually back into day. You're part of this great turning, this sacred rhythm, and in this participation you find healing that goes deeper than you could create alone. As we move into the deepest part of this healing journey, let's explore the Buddhist understanding of suffering and how it relates to the body's capacity for healing and wholeness. The Buddha's first teaching after his enlightenment was the Four Noble Truths, and the first of these is often translated as life is suffering. But this translation can be misleading. A more accurate translation would be life involves discontentment or unsatisfactoriness. The Buddha wasn't saying life is only suffering, but rather that suffering is an inevitable part of the human experience, and understanding its nature is the key to freedom. This teaching has profound implications for healing. Much of our suffering around illness and pain comes not from the physical experience itself, but from our resistance to it, our belief that we shouldn't be experiencing it, our fear about what it means, our desperate wish for it to be different than it is. This mental and emotional suffering added to physical pain is what the Buddha called the second arrow. The first arrow is the unavoidable pain of having a body that sometimes experiences illness and injury. The second arrow is the suffering we create through our response to that pain. There's a story that illustrates this teaching beautifully. A man came to the Buddha carrying his sick child, begging for healing. The Buddha looked at the child with compassion and said, "I can ease your suffering, but I cannot eliminate all pain." The man said desperately, "I'll do anything, just make my child well." The Buddha replied, "First, I need you to bring me a mustard seed from a household that has never experienced death, illness, or loss. Only with such a seed can I make the medicine that will cure all suffering." The man set out with hope, going from house to house in the village. At each home, he asked if they had experienced death, illness, or loss. At every single home, the answer was yes. They had lost a parent, or a child had been sick, or they were dealing with some difficulty. After visiting every household, the man returned to the Buddha empty-handed, but with a transformed understanding. He said, "I understand now. Suffering is not unique to me. Every living being experiences the challenges of existence." The Buddha nodded. This is the first step toward freedom, recognizing that you're not alone, not uniquely cursed, not being singled out for suffering. You're simply part of the human family, and this is what it means to be human. This recognition is itself healing. When you stop personalizing your pain, when you stop asking why me and recognize that illness and discomfort are part of the shared human experience, the emotional suffering around physical pain often diminishes significantly. You're not failing by being sick. You're not being punished. You're not doing something wrong. You're simply experiencing what every human body experiences at various times. This is the first arrow, and while it may be uncomfortable, it doesn't have to trigger the second arrow of mental anguish. As you rest here, if there's any physical discomfort present, practice relating to it differently. Instead of "this shouldn't be happening" or "what's wrong with me," try "this is uncomfortable, and this is what the human body sometimes experiences." This shift from resistance to acceptance doesn't make the pain disappear, but it often makes it much more manageable. You're meeting the first arrow without adding the second arrow. The Buddha's second noble truth is that suffering has a cause. The cause is not external circumstances, but our own clinging, our grasping after what we want and pushing away what we don't want. In terms of healing, this means that much of our suffering around illness comes from our desperate grasping after health and our fierce resistance to being sick. Both the grasping and the resistance create tension that actually interferes with healing. This is paradoxical. Of course you want to be healthy. Of course you don't want to be sick. These are natural preferences. But there's a difference between preference and desperate clinging. Preference is light, flexible. If health is present, wonderful. If illness is present, we work with it. Desperate clinging is heavy, rigid. Health must be present or I cannot be okay. Illness must not be present, or everything is terrible. This clinging creates the suffering that compounds illness. The practice is holding your desire for health lightly, as an intention rather than a desperate demand. You create conditions for healing, you do what's appropriate to support your body, but you also accept with grace whatever is present now. This acceptance is not resignation, it's not giving up on healing, it's recognizing that this moment, exactly as it is the starting point for any movement toward greater health. You cannot get to wellness by denying or fighting against where you are now. There's a teaching from Zen Buddhism about the practice of saying yes to life as it is. A student asked a master, "How can I say yes to suffering? Isn't that just accepting defeat?" The master replied, "Saying yes doesn't mean you like suffering or want it to continue. It means you acknowledge that this is what's happening now. From this honest acknowledgement, skillful action becomes possible. But if you're spending all your energy saying no, resisting what is, you have no energy left for healing action. Practice this now. If there's any aspect of your current experience that you've been resisting, any discomfort you've been fighting against, any thought or emotion you've been pushing away, practice saying yes to it. Yes, this is here now. Yes, I feel this. Yes, this is part of my experience in this moment. Notice how simply acknowledging what is without resistance often causes a shift in your experience. The sensations may not change, but your relationship to them changes, and that changes everything. The third noble truth is that suffering can end. This is the hopeful heart of Buddhist teaching. You're not doomed to endless suffering. Liberation is possible. In terms of healing, this means that while illness may be present now, it's not your permanent identity. Healing is possible. Change is inevitable. What is now will not be forever. This understanding opens the door to hope without creating desperate clinging. The fourth noble truth is that there's a path to the end of suffering, the eightfold path of right understanding, right intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. While we won't explore all 8 aspects tonight, it's valuable to recognize that the path to healing involves not just physical interventions, but also how you think, speak, act, and direct your attention. Your whole life either supports healing or hinders it. Right effort is particularly relevant for healing sleep. Right effort means balanced effort, neither pushing too hard nor giving up entirely. It means applying energy skillfully, in appropriate measure. In sleep, this means creating conditions and setting intentions, but then letting go and allowing natural processes to unfold. Too much effort interferes. Too little means you don't create the necessary conditions. Right effort is the middle way. Feel into this now. Are you trying too hard to relax, to sleep, to heal? This trying itself creates tension. Or are you completely passive, not engaging at all with the practices that support healing? This passivity misses the opportunity to consciously create helpful conditions. Right effort is somewhere in between. Engaged but not straining. Intentional but not controlling. Present but not forcing. This is the sweet spot where healing happens most readily. Right mindfulness means paying attention to present moment experience with non-judgmental awareness. We've been practicing this throughout tonight, bringing attention to breath, to body, to thoughts and emotions without judging them as good or bad, just noticing them as they are. This quality of awareness is itself therapeutic. When you're mindfully present with pain, it often becomes less overwhelming. When you're mindfully present with anxiety, it often loosens its grip. Mindfulness creates space around difficult experiences, and in that space, healing becomes possible. Right concentration means the capacity to rest attention steadily on a chosen object, whether breath, a visualization, a phrase, or simply the field of awareness itself. This concentration is what allows the mind to settle, to stop its restless jumping from thought to thought. In this settling, profound rest becomes possible, and in that rest, healing is amplified. You've been developing right concentration throughout this practice, each time bringing attention back to breath or body, each time resting in awareness. The Buddha taught that these 8 aspects of the path are not separate, but mutually reinforcing. When you act rightly, speech comes more easily. When speech is right, mindfulness deepens. When mindfulness is present, concentration develops naturally. In the same way, all the principles and practices you've learned tonight work together, each one supporting and amplifying the others. Release supports trust. Trust supports compassion. Compassion supports embracing darkness. Embracing darkness supports working with breath. Working with breath supports release. It's a virtuous cycle, each element strengthening the whole. As you rest in this integrated practice, you're not just learning techniques, but transforming your entire relationship with your body, your health, your sleep, and your life. This transformation doesn't happen all at once, but gradually, through repeated practice, through patience, through gentle persistence. Each time you practice, you're strengthening neural pathways that support healing. You're conditioning your body to recognize these states and return to them more easily. You're teaching your mind new ways of relating to experience. There's a beautiful teaching from Thich Nhat Hanh, a modern Buddhist master, about the practice of being peace rather than seeking peace. He said, "You cannot travel to peace. You can only be peace in this moment." The same is true for healing. You're not traveling towards some future state of perfect health. You're being as healthy as possible in this moment, creating conditions for wellness, honoring your body, bringing kindness to your experience. This being is itself the healing. In Buddhist understanding, past and future are mental constructs. Only now is real. Only this moment actually exists. This is liberating for healing because it means you don't have to carry the burden of past illness or worry about future relapse. You simply meet this moment as it is and create conditions for healing now. The next moment will take care of itself. Your only responsibility is this breath, this sensation, this choice in this moment. Feel the freedom in this. You don't have to heal everything tonight. You don't have to figure out your entire health journey. You simply rest now, as deeply as you can, creating conditions for healing now. Tomorrow you'll do the same, creating conditions for healing then. Each moment taken care of, one at a time, and healing happens naturally as a result of these accumulated moments of care. The Buddhist path is sometimes called the gradual path, recognizing that transformation happens step by step, moment by moment, breath by breath. There may be moments of dramatic insight or sudden shift, but mostly the path is one of patient practice, of showing up again and again, of gently returning to wholesome patterns even when you've wandered away. This is exactly how healing works as well. Moment by moment, choice by choice, breath by breath, your body restores itself. Rest now in the recognition that you're on this path, that you've been on it all along, even if you didn't know it. Every moment you've chosen rest over pushing through. Every time you've listened to your body's signals. Every act of kindness toward yourself. All of it has been part of your healing journey. Tonight is one more step on this journey. An important step, a deep step, but not the only step. The journey continues, and you can trust yourself to walk it with increasing wisdom and grace. We arrive now at the deepest place of rest, the space where all practice dissolves into simple being, where effort releases into effortless presence, where the one who is trying to heal recognizes itself as the healing itself. This is not a new technique to learn, but a remembering of what you've always known, what your body has always known, what your deepest nature has never forgotten. You are not broken. You have never been broken. You are whole, complete, perfect, exactly as you are, even with whatever temporary challenges or difficulties you're experiencing. In Zen Buddhism, there's a teaching called original face, your nature before you were born, your essence beyond all conditioning and circumstance. This original face is not sick or well, young or old, happy or sad. It's the unchanging awareness in which all these changing states appear. When you rest as this awareness, you discover a peace that's independent of physical condition. The body may be uncomfortable, but you, the awareness that knows the body, are at peace. This recognition is the deepest healing, not because it makes physical symptoms disappear, though it often supports physical healing in remarkable ways, but because it ends the suffering that comes from identification with the changing body. You are so much more than your body. You are the consciousness that inhabits the body, that witnesses the body, that holds the body in loving awareness. This consciousness is never ill, never damaged, never anything less than whole and complete. Feel this now. Who is aware of your body resting here? Who notices the breath flowing in and out? Who observes thoughts appearing and disappearing? Who is present to all of experience? This awareness is what you are most fundamentally. The body is what you inhabit temporarily. When you rest as awareness rather than as body, a profound shift occurs. You're still fully present to bodily experience, but you're no longer limited by it. You hold it with more space, more ease, more peace. The Buddha's enlightenment came when he finally stopped trying to become something different and simply rested in what he already was. For years he had practiced extreme disciplines, seeking enlightenment through effort and achievement. When he finally let go of all seeking and simply sat under the Bodhi tree with no agenda except to be present, enlightenment revealed itself. It had been there all along, waiting for him to stop overlooking it in his frantic search. Your healing is similar. It's not something you achieve through desperate effort. It's something that's already happening, that never stopped happening, that's happening right now as your body performs thousands of healing actions every second. Your only task is to stop interfering with it, to create conditions that support it, to rest in trust that it's happening perfectly. There's a practice in Zen called shikantaza, just sitting, where you sit with no object of meditation, no technique to practice, no goal to achieve. You simply sit, fully present, fully embodied, fully alive to this moment. We'll adapt this practice now for healing rest, no longer following breath or visualizing light or repeating phrases, simply resting, being, allowing, present to whatever is, without needing it to be different. This is the practice of pure presence. No doing, only being. No trying, only allowing. No becoming, only being what you already are. In this simple presence, healing happens naturally, effortlessly, as surely as a cut heals itself when you don't keep picking at it. Your body knows what to do. Your being knows how to be. You need only stop interfering. Feel how this is the ultimate letting go. Letting go even of the practice of letting go. Letting go of trying to heal, of trying to sleep, of trying to be peaceful. Simply resting as you are, allowing whatever is happening to happen, trusting completely in the process. This is surrender not as defeat but as victory. The ultimate victory of releasing control and discovering that everything is fine just as it is. In this space of complete acceptance, you may notice that something softens that has perhaps never softened before. The deepest holding, the core tension that you've been carrying perhaps your entire life begins to release. It's the tension of trying to be someone different than who you are, the exhausting effort of maintaining an image or living up to some standard. When you stop this trying and simply rest as you are, the relief is enormous. You don't have to be perfect to be worthy of healing. You don't have to be good enough or strong enough or pure enough. You don't have to earn the right to rest deeply. These are all lies that the conditioned mind believes. The truth is much simpler. You are alive, therefore you are worthy. You exist, therefore you deserve care. You are a being, therefore you are held in the love that creates and sustains all beings. Feel this love now. It's not romantic love or sentimental affection. It's the fundamental yes of existence to your being. The universe said yes to you when it brought you into existence. Life says yes to you with every breath it gives you. Your body says yes to you with every heartbeat. This love is unconditional, unwavering, eternal. Rest in it. Allow yourself to be held by it. Trust that you are completely, utterly loved exactly as you are. In Buddhist teaching, Buddha nature is said to be inherent in all beings. You don't have to become Buddha nature. You already are it. You've always been it. You've only forgotten temporarily, distracted by the surface movements of thoughts and emotions and sensations. But underneath all the movement, still and eternal, your Buddha nature remains perfect, complete, never diminished by any experience or circumstance. This Buddha nature is what heals, not the little separate self trying desperately to fix the body, but the vast universal intelligence expressing through your particular form. When you rest as Buddha nature, healing happens naturally because Buddha nature is inherently whole. It knows no separation, no illness, no damage. It's the source code of existence itself, and in its presence, all temporary distortions naturally correct themselves. You don't have to understand this intellectually. You don't have to believe it conceptually. You simply have to rest into it, to let yourself sink so deeply into being that you touch this ground of your existence. And from this ground, everything else takes care of itself. Healing happens. Peace arises. Love flows. Not because you made it happen, but because this is the nature of reality when you stop blocking it. As you rest now in this deepest recognition, allow everything to be exactly as it is, breathing itself, heart beating itself, body resting itself, mind thinking itself or not thinking. Nothing needing to be managed or controlled or improved. Simply this, simply now, simply being. This is what you've been seeking all along, not some special experience or altered state, but this simple presence, this ordinary, extraordinary moment of being alive, being aware, being here. This is enlightenment, not as some distant achievement, but as your present reality, always available, never absent, waiting only for you to stop overlooking it in your search for something more. And from this presence, sleep comes naturally if it's time for sleep, or wakefulness continues if it's not yet time. Either way, you're at peace. Either way, you're whole. Either way, healing is happening, because healing is not dependent on being asleep or awake, comfortable or uncomfortable, thinking or not thinking. Healing happens in the space of acceptance, in the field of love, in the presence of consciousness that you are. The night holds you, the darkness embraces you. The earth supports you, the universe breathes you, all of existence conspires for your healing, for your wholeness, for your peace, not because you've earned it, but because this is what existence does. It heals, it loves, it holds all beings in tender care. You are that being held in tender care. You are that consciousness being loved by existence itself. You are that healing happening right now. Rest in this knowing. Let it be the last thought before sleep, or the continuing recognition if sleep doesn't come yet. Either way, you are held. You are loved, you are healing. May your body heal completely in whatever way is best. May your mind rest in peace. May your spirit remember its true nature. May you sleep deeply or rest peacefully. May all beings everywhere know this same healing, this same peace, this same love. You are the body healing all night. You are the consciousness witnessing healing. You are the love that makes healing possible. Rest now in what you are, complete, whole, perfect, always and already healed at the deepest level, even as surface healing continues in its own time. The teaching is complete. The practice dissolves into being. You rest as you are, and that is enough, more than enough. It is everything. Be at peace. Be whole. Be healed. Be